Hello everybody, it's Cassie. Welcome back for another Trinity Stamps video. Today we're going to be making a card that uses fall dies and spring stamps and using dies in different ways. We're going to be using this pumpkin candy bucket. So you see it's got all the pieces to make this adorable little candy bucket. You can have those little candy pieces sticking out of the top. I am only going to be using the bucket portion, just this lower portion, and you'll see how in a bit. I also wanted to bring in the tiny pie because I just really love this die. It just makes my heart happy. We also have the Dainty scallop rectangles because I don't know, I think that just adds a little bit of an elegance to it. And then because we're using that tiny pie, we're also going to bring in the Hap-pie Day stamp set, and we're going to be using this particular stamp along with the matching die that goes with it. And then here's the spring stamp we're going to be using. This is called First Bloom. It is retiring, so there's probably just a few left in the store, but it's a beautiful, beautiful floral. There are matching dies to go along with it. I can't tell you how many are left in the store, but it is retiring, so if you're interested, you may want to go snag it. All right, so I went ahead and die cut out the biggest Dainty scalloped rectangle out of some olive green cardstock. I'm going to go ahead and bring in a palette of gold. I use them for spatter paints that, because they're just highly pigmented and they're beautiful and I love them, and I've had this palette forever. So I'll spatter that all over and then take a look at the shine that comes with that. It's so pretty. I'm going to set that off to the side to dry and I'll clean up my mess, and then we can move on to doing our stamping. So I've got some Express It cardstock. That's my favorite for alcohol marker coloring, and that's what I plan to do. And then I'm just going to bring in several of those stamps from that First Bloom stamp set. I'm going to ink those up with some Blackout ink. Works well with alcohol markers as well. And then I've got to stamp that out a couple of times, as you can see. Kind of want to go back and watercolor this one now because, I don't know, florals and watercolor, those make my heart happy. So now that we've got those all done, we're going to go ahead and color those up. I'm bringing in my Olo markers. I'm going to do my best to put all of those colors up on the screen for you. And we're going to use some red flowers. Now, like I said, this is a spring stamp set called First Blooms. But I don't see why you couldn't use this for, well, in this case, fall, or really anything. I'm not a floral expert, but I imagine that there's some very pretty floral or fall florals that you could get that might look similar to this. So I decided to use these dark reds. We started off light, and we're bringing in more dark. And I'm going to go a little bit more dramatic using an even darker red. You'll see here in a second. After I blend that out using that R0.4. But once we get that blended out, I just wanted to be a little bit more dramatic. And so I brought in this R1.7, and it does add the dark, which is nice. When I first started coloring with alcohol markers, I was so afraid to go too dark. And so I used my light markers like it was going out of style until I started to get a little bit more brave. And you can do that because, well, it's just paper, right? Paper, a little bit of ink, and this is how we practice anyway. Not everything you make has to be a masterpiece. That's what I've learned. Although I would love for everything I make to be a masterpiece, it's just not going to be the case. So try as I might. That's just, it's not going to be the case. So anyway, like I said, these are spring flowers. I'm trying to go with darker colors to make them look a little bit more fall. Another way to do that would be to bring in some of those fall, like regal type colors. So I'm bringing in these darker yellow oranges for the center, and then I've got these darker yellow greens for the leaves. For these particular leaves, I'm starting off with that YG 8.5. And I have been playing back and forth, going dark to light, light to dark. It is a process. I have colored with alcohol markers, I've colored for, I don't know, since 2008. So it's been a number of years. And there's always still something more to learn and so much to practice. So if you are new to them, don't get discouraged. Like I said, not everything you make is going to be a masterpiece. And there's a little bit of a learning curve. There was a learning curve even bringing in these Olos because I started off coloring with Copics. And even though they're both alcohol markers, they're different markers. Like the saturation is a little bit different. The pens themselves just hold different. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. All right, then I'm going to bring in those olive colors because that matches that olive green dainty scalloped rectangle that I made. And, these leaves that are separate, those are actually going to go on the inside of the card, but I definitely like to bring the outside, bring the outside in. And then I brought in some blue greens. Again, going with some more fall type colors. So yeah, this definitely still looks a little spring, but maybe my color choices brought it up to fall. What do you think? Have you ever done that? Do you just use what you got? Maybe you're a flower expert, and so you know what you're dealing with. I am not. All right, so I'm going to die cut this out using the matching die, and then we'll run that through our die cutting machine after all that's taped down. Set those off to the side, and we're going to bring in the pieces. I went ahead and die cut out all the pieces that I thought I would need. So there's our candy bucket just from the pumpkin, and then I have all these pieces for the pie. Now, I'm just going to tell you, I am not a pie maker. I'm not a pie maker. So I realize now as I look at this that pumpkin pie doesn't have a crust on the top. It might have the crust on the edge. And I did screw that up, I guess, if I was trying to make a pumpkin pie. But, artistic license here. So I figured if I didn't point it out, someone probably would. But I'm not a pie maker. I tried making pie, I think, a few times, and we've got some pie experts in our family, so crust is not my thing. And I also have to be gluten-free anyway, so I just don't make them. Although I will tell you my husband's favorite is pumpkin for sure. So as you saw, I put all these down onto a grip mat, and I've just added some blending brushes and some ink to add some depth to these pieces. And now we're going to start gluing everything together. But this little pie, piecing it together just makes me so, so happy. It's so sweet. And I don't know if you missed it or if you saw the video that I made a couple weeks back using this same die and making different kinds of pies. That was super fun. Although maybe you could make a pumpkin pie with a crust. I don't know. Maybe that's a whole new thing someone could try. I did want to add a little bit of sugar, faux sugar, to our crust because I thought that would be fun. And so I've got my liquid glue and I've got just a little bit of clear glitter, like a clear-ish glitter. This one might be a little more holographic, I'm not sure, but I'm just going to dump that over the top into a coffee filter and then clean up my mess while I let that dry. All right, now I'm going to add my floral top to my pumpkin. This is what I wanted to do. I wanted to make it look like the flowers were stuck inside the pumpkin, just because that's so pretty anyway. If someone walked in with pumpkins, or a pumpkin that had flowers in it, that would just make me smile. We're going to stamp out our sentiment once again that comes from the Hap-pie Day, wishing you a fulfilling holiday. And then we'll bring in the matching dies. This one in particular I love so much because it cuts out the in-between pieces, in between full and filling. I just think the little details sometimes are what make it. We'll use our liquid glue and we'll attach down our panel to our card base. Now that card base measured 8.5 inches by 5.5 inches and I scored it at 4 1/4, so it's a side folding A2 size card. We'll glue down our pumpkin holding our flowers. That will be to the back. And then I want to use some adhesive foam strips on the back of not only our sentiment, but also our pie. So I did go ahead and add those, and I pulled off the release paper. I'm going to stick my pie down. So that's going to look like it's in the forefront, in front of our pumpkin. And then I'm going to attach down the one that says, wishing you a fulfilling holiday. Of course, I could not stop there. So I did bring in some embellishments. Those are the Razzleberry bubbles. Put those inside my tidy tray. And then before I attach those down, I'm going to go ahead and put the pieces inside. So these little leaves and the berries or whatnot are going to go inside our card. Like I said, I like to bring the outside in. So we've touched on those greens and the blues. I could have probably done one of the other flowers that were in this stamp set, but we'll leave it at that. And then I'm going to be pretty liberal putting these bubbles down on the front of my card. Once again, those are the Razzleberry bubbles. I'm putting those down using my pickup stick, and then I'm going to attach those down with a little bit of liquid glue. I had the most fun making this card. And that's going to do it. I really like how this card turned out. I cannot wait to give this out for Thanksgiving. So excited. I hope you like it too. If you like it, please hit that like button. Definitely consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. And a big, big thanks for those of you that have stuck around with me for all this time, especially while I've been gone so much. I appreciate you. And I will see you very soon in another video. Bye, everybody.